Okay, welcome back. Good morning, Austin. My name is Dylan Bowman. We are joined today by Bryan Bhark. I wrote down your title here, Senior Innovation Footwear Developer at Brooks Running. Bryan, nice to see you, buddy.
Great to see you too, Dylan. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure.
We bumped into each other on the trail this morning too, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, it was good seeing you flying the other way.
We were both enjoying our independent early morning rainy miles here in Austin, Texas. What a fun week it's been at TRE. I guess just a couple of days.
Oh, it's awesome. TRE is one of my favorite events every year to go to. Great time to connect with old friends and meet new faces and just see what's going on in the industry.
Yeah, you're like our 13th or 14th guest, and like everybody says that too. You know, it is a really awesome event. Our first time here, and hopefully first of many.
Yeah.
For us, it makes me think though, like as somebody who works in innovation, it feels like the show specifically is more tailored towards people who are working on current product or product that is on the immediate horizon, obviously talking to a lot of retailers and things like that. What specifically are you here for as somebody who works on much longer timetables?
Yeah, so generally what Brooks does from a product standpoint is we send a number of people from different functions within the footwear team, so innovation, design, color, product line management, to just kind of scan and see what's going on in the industry. For me, from an innovation standpoint, it's always cool to see the stuff that the industry has been working on to a large extent for probably 3 to 5+ years, finally get to market. So there's been a huge revolution in foams over the last few years. I feel like so many brands are kind of in this space where they're pushing limits from a durability, weight, performance, energy return standpoint. So it's really cool to see all that kind of come to market.
Yeah. To what extent are you interacting with people from other brands? Because I've sort of gotten the feeling that it's a really kind of positive sum feeling here at the show, even though, obviously Brooks is in competition with a lot of the other brands that are here exhibiting their products to the marketplace. Also, it doesn't feel that it's a really competitive environment. Is that the sense that you get? And do you interact with personnel from other brands?
I don't feel like it's a competitive environment. I feel like at the end of the day, we're all like-minded people. Yeah. We all love product. We all love running. We love being outside. And it's cool meeting people from other brands. We're very open to talk about our product with, people from other brands and vice versa. You always feel this hesitancy going into a competitor's booth, and then you're welcomed by like someone saying, "Hey, let us know if you have any questions on our product." And then I'm always like, "Hey, stop by the Brooks booth whenever you get a chance." So it's been great. And I also have friends at other brands, which is nice to always connect with them and catch up.
So you and I know each other personally, at least loosely. You're a proud member of the trail running community up there in the Pacific Northwest too. And somebody who's widely loved beyond what you contribute at Brooks, but to what you do for the community. But I heard recently that you were in the special forces for the Army, and it feels like what I told you before we went live here is that what we're trying to do is get to know the people behind the brand. So I'd love to have you just say a few words about that experience and how it led you to the career path that you've been on.
Sure. So I went to West Point for college, which was kind of that track into the military as an officer. I had been a lifelong runner, even prior to that. And then, as I kind of grew up in the military a little bit after West Point, I had the opportunity to go to a Ranger Regiment selection. And that was something that I had in the back of my mind, never thought I could do, but somehow made it in. It was a tough selection process. So I served in the Ranger Regiment for just under 3 years before I got out of the Army. And something that I realized at the time, I had been wanting to make this transition into the outdoor industry. Being a user, being a person who spends a lot of time outside, I was always really intrigued by the gear that's made for people like us. And I didn't realize at the time that a lot of these relatively private trade shows are open to folks in the military who are active duty. It's because the military has a long history with outdoor brands, government contracts, et cetera. And when I was in Ranger Regiment, we worked with a lot of top tier apparel and gear brands, and we're doing a lot of testing for them. And so I was like, oh, this is a really cool space that I didn't know existed. And I just really appreciated how amazing the outdoor community was. And then over time started to develop some connections, and eventually was able to land a product development gig at New Balance, which was my first footwear company. It was my first foray into footwear.
Yeah.
And I was really fortunate to kind of land my dream job, day one out of the military. So that's kind of how I made that transition. And after a few years, had the opportunity to come to Brooks. When I was stationed with 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, that was based out in Joint Base Lewis McChord, just outside of Seattle, or Tacoma, Washington.
Tacoma, yeah.
And at that time, I was like, I got to find a way to get back to the Northwest. It's too beautiful to never come back, right? So Brooks was kind of that perfect fit, both from a performance running standpoint and location standpoint, being close to the mountains.
So it was the trade shows that brought you into the industry.
It was. So I have this feeling of nostalgia every time I go to a trade show. It's just like, man, these are the people that gave me a chance.
Yeah, it's so interesting because to get a pass to TRE this week, I mean, it's relatively expensive for brand representatives, specialty retailers to come to the show. So what a great feature to make it available to active duty military, and what a great entry point for you. Do you feel like the structure and discipline maybe that you developed in the military now serves you in your product leadership role?
I think so. There's definitely things I lean on from what I learned in the past. I think also the ability to operate with a high level of ambiguity, especially being on innovation. You have to be okay with a lot of gray. Things that don't ever see the light of day, things that fail repeatedly before you make some incremental progress. It's kind of that grit and resilience that you build that remind me like, hey, this is fun. We're building shoes. Like, this is cool. We can all have some fun with it. So,
dude, so Brooks is very much, I mean, there's so much momentum in the brand right now, like firmly the number one brand in performance running. Talk about just like the momentum with the brand right now and how you sort of maintain, after establishing that leadership position, how you maintain it over time.
So Brooks is rooted in performance run. We root all of our shoes in science, and we biomechanically test nearly every shoe that we design and develop. And so being true to our core values, fit, feel, ride, biomechanics, crafted beauty for design has always been something that's been kind of that North Star for us driving forward. So it's easy for us to say focus as a brand. We just do running. And we just work with a lot of really passionate, talented people. I've always said before, it's not, great people make great product. It comes down to personal relationships, that ability to push and pull, to compromise. And I feel like that's got us through, headwinds in the past, and it helps continue to push us forward in the future. And we just have an incredibly passionate product creation team, which is awesome.
It's so funny having interacted with a bunch of the Brooks athletes and knowing a couple of people who work internally. It does feel like there's a really great culture in the brand too. And one of the things you just said is something that our small team has been talking about this week, and just like the focus, right? Being only on running. Do you feel like that gives the brand an advantage in the marketplace when you're competing against brands who are in some of the cleated team sports, or who are trying to do more plays in other areas, like the focus? Do you think that is beneficial?
100%. I think when we are focused 100% on running, we are all about the runner and runner benefits. It's a big lift for other brands that are in several categories to be able to either scale technologies across different sports, also to kind of realign brand priorities depending on what sports are trending. Running is something that people have done forever and will continue to do forever, and that's where we want to stay consistent. And that's why we place such a high emphasis on performance running, because we always know people need good gear.
Yeah. So before we get to the good gear, talk about the trail category and its significance within the overall brand priority stack at this point?
Yeah, trail has always been something that has been really important to Brooks. Obviously, one of our first athletes, Scott Jurek, who still very much works with the brand, all the way today, where we have a really large European trail team. We have a really solid US trail team. And it's been great to see us be able to grow in trail. And the strategy was, we have to have product for the athletes and we have to have the athletes for the product. But for us, it is really important that we're seeing the athlete as a whole person. It's not just about how well they perform or how consistent they perform. They have to be a good human that epitomizes the Brooks values. So that's been something that has been an amazing aspect to how we've grown our trail team, because then we've all become like personal friends with all the athletes, and our product team touches base with our athletes on almost a daily basis. And our relationship with sports marketing, they basically open the door and say, hey, you guys can talk to anyone that you want, and they will reach out to you, get texts from our athletes who are like, hey, this didn't work so well, or hey, I'm really loving this aspect of this prototype. And it's just like that immediate feedback and the ability to make changes quickly for the athlete. And I think that's something that's one of the most fun things about my job. And then the teammates I get to work with.
Yeah, since you brought it up, Garrett Heath now is managing the trail team.
That's
who's
right.
Of course, a longtime professional athlete for Brooks. Fantastic cross-country runner.
Yep.
I know that much about him, at least. But I think one of the things that Brooks has done that has been really unique, novel, pioneering is recruiting athletes like Anna Gibson and Mika Boudon-Rousseau directly out of college. Really, That's the first time that's happened, where top-level Division I track cross-country runners are now going straight to trail running rather than pursuing, the road or track professionally.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
really
And that's something that I feel like is relatively common in the track world, and maybe even the road running world, but hasn't been so common in trail, because the average age in trail running has always been much older than those competing in track and field and road racing. To see so much young interest and passion in trail is amazing. Yeah. We had another guy, Talon Hall, who was an exceptional runner at UW, who joined our team after graduating. He's just like, I just want to run on trails. Yeah. So him and Mika, battled it out at Broken Arrow, and I think they finished one behind the other. Uh-huh. And Anna's been an amazing ad, because they're, like I said, they're not only great runners, they're great people, and they definitely epitomize the values. Doesn't matter how young they are, you know.
All right, so let's talk about some product. You brought a quite a selection here. So start wherever you want. These are all trail shoes. Tell our audience sort of what's coming down the line from Brooks.
All right. So one of the most exciting products, it's totally new for the brand, and something that our athletes had been asking for, especially in Europe, where the vast majority of our athletes are running sky races. They needed a sub 8-ounce shoe, super great traction, really dialed upper, precise, nimble. And so we played off the Catamount franchise and developed the Catamount Agile. So this comes in just a hair over 7.5 ounces in a men's 9. It's debuting our latest foam technology, DNA Flash V2, which is also used in the Hyperion Elite and our track spikes. It's got a P-Bax plate that helps with some rock protection and a bunch of or a bit of propulsion. But it's something that our trail athletes were with us from day one. Yeah. We interviewed a number of our trail athletes, both in the US and in Europe. And we were able to make changes pretty quickly based on how they liked the product and the things that also didn't work so well early on. So this is something we're really excited to bring to market, especially for shorter, faster trail races.
That thing looks like a weapon.
Yeah, it definitely is. And then moving up from there, we have the Catamount 3. And the Catamount 3 is an upper update to a sole unit that has been really well received. The biggest difference with the upper is that we scaled back the number of overlays. We went with a lighter weight mesh, and something that we found is, like, if you can get materials a little bit thinner they wrap your foot a lot better. And a lot of our athletes felt like this was a totally new shoe. They're like, wow, this feels so much more precise and nimble, faster than the previous one. It seems like everything changed. And it's like, we only changed the upper.
So it's just the fit gives them a whole different experience.
Absolutely.
Wow.
We've done some studies into how confidence affects your performance, and confidence is linked to the gear you have on your feet. And so it was a really cool execution of that.
Wow. Very cool.
We're really excited about this one. And then moving up, we have kind of our staple trail shoe in the line, the Cascadia.
The legendary Cascadia franchise. You mentioned Scott Jurek earlier.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. And it got a really big overhaul for the 17th version. This is the 18th version. So it's new upper only. But again, similar to the Catamount, we scaled back the number of overlays to create a fit that's closer to your foot. We also updated the lacing system here so that it's a little bit more precise, that it allows you to kind of tune and customize the tension of the laces across your foot a little bit better than the last version. But we have a middle-loaded TPU rock plate that does a great job adapting to the terrain, but also provides that rock protection. And the outsole super aggressive, using our Trail Tech green compound. And all of our trail shoes, we don't want to compromise depending on the price point with different outsole compounds. We just use the same outsole compound across the line because we know it works. And we've done so much extensive testing on it prior to it coming to market to know that we have the confidence to put it on the trail product. So super excited for this. And
the 18th Cascadia.
The 18th,
wow. What a legacy.
I know. I'll be excited to see what we do for the 20th. That'll be probably a pretty revolutionary update at that point. And then kind of at the top of our line, from a stack height, kind of cushioned, ultra distance standpoint, is the Caldera 7. This got a massive overhaul from the Caldera 6. From the 5 to the 6, big update. We went to our Lofty 3 nitro-infused foam. The Caldera 7 takes a lot of the things that worked on the Caldera 6, but we made the shoe more flexible. We changed the outsole pattern so that it grips better in more technical conditions. Hillary ran the entire UTMB race last year in the first prototype of the Caldera 7. That was kind of a testament to like, whoa, we were on to something.
Okay,
we're like pretty close. Yeah. And so she's been one of the key athletes to help test and validate this product for us. So super excited about that. It's probably the shoe that I'm personally most excited for in terms of having a shoe with the ability to kind of do everything. Yeah. And then a shoe that oftentimes doesn't get the credit it deserves, but I think is an amazing trail shoe, is a Divide. It's priced as an entry-level trail shoe, just over $100, and it packs so much bang for its buck. We have a lot of a lot of the trail athletes just love using this for everything. This is actually Joe McConaughey's favorite trail shoe.
Really?
That he plans to race in all year. But no rock plates, so that it's super forgiving. It's got a little bit more of a road outsole kind of geometry, so it decouples more like a road shoe would, but still has our Trail Tech compound, more aggressive lugs than you would find on a road shoe. So super versatile. So this one is all new upper, new midsole, new outsole for this upcoming year.
So cool, man. And yeah, what a beautiful thing, right? Like being here at TRE where we're seeing the limits being pushed and innovation being, obviously a really important thing, not only for you and Brooks, but for all different brands to also have a high quality, high value, $100 product. So virtually anybody can go out and enjoy the miracle of trail running. Bryan Bhark, any other closing comments, any other things you're excited about? Or what are you training for right now? Because obviously you're a great athlete too.
Figuring out the race schedule for 24, but I plan to do a couple skimo races this winter. So we'll cut my teeth at some uphill ski stuff and then see what the spring holds for me. Yeah. But yeah.
Well, you live right at the base of a good place to go do some training on snow. So good
That's
luck
right.
during the winter season. Appreciate you coming in and chatting with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Always fun to chat with you, Dylan.